welcome to Advent of Refactoring Day 7, and we're going to be looking today at guard clauses. So we've got a function here, create event data rows, and we check to see if the external data fetch is enabled, and if it is, then we're checking, make sure that the event is not none, because that can be passed in this instance apparently. If it's not, then we're going to loop through all of the events. We're going to do check if the event is included in the reports. Then we're going to fetch the data from the external API, check if the data is all valid and it's actually got like details we want to include in the report, build the data in the right format, do a bit of maths, and then sort of add it to the external list. And then at the end there's a bit of like else conditions, like if it's being skipped. Then at the end there's a couple of things. If things are being skipped, then we just report it out with the logger. So nothing super complicated here. It's not a huge long function, but there's a few sort of code smells here. There's a lot of levels of indentation here, and it's quite hard to actually tell which else is connected to which if, because they're really a long way off here. So there's a few things we can do to sort of refactor things a little bit here. So one thing we can start off by doing is by looking at this one here, this if settings data fetch enable, just this one if, then it contains everything else. So what if we were to do if not settings dot external data fetch enabled? Then we can grab this logger line here, paste it in, and return. Because we don't need to do anything, the whole rest of the function we don't need in that case, which means we can select all that stuff there, shift tab to dedent it one level. We've now removed one entire level of indentation, and we've got this if statement for the don't bother condition. This is called a guard clause. We can do the same for other things as well. So like this, if events is none, return. Don't need to bother with the whole rest of the function at that point. So let's grab all of that and shift tab, bring it in another level. So we can now sort of go through this type of thing here, and it's very easy to shift the whole function to make it further and further left, which is usually a good thing. Code like politics is best if we can avoid the far right. So we've got here for event in self.events for the loop, and we're going through this loop here. If the event is included in reports, then do all of the stuff. So again, we can do the same thing, shift all of this again. We can say if not event dot continue. We're not doing a return because we just want to go on to the next part of the loop here. So again, select all that stuff, shift tab, bring it back in a level. And we've got this final one here, this final if statement. And you can see that with this one here, there's some conditions like if data and this and all that. So it feels a bit fiddly. If we were to try and reverse it like we did the other ones, it would get really complicated to understand. So like if not data and not either of those, I think, but that's starting to feel really complicated. As soon as you have lots of nots and ands and stuff inside an if, I just find it really difficult to understand and make my brain think the right number of steps. So it's better to not do that. The other thing we could do is say, well, maybe we just take all of this and extract this to be a separate function. So if we were to take this here, right click there, refactor, extract method, and that would be add fetched and event data to report. Now it's much shorter, and we just check the data is good and then add it, and it's not confusing anymore to have the if and else in that order. And the whole function is now significantly cleaner and a lot easier to understand. So these guard clauses are fantastic. We can use this style of thing in Python, in JavaScript, and even in some places doing this type of refactoring works in templates as well. So thanks for joining me, and see you tomorrow.